In 2008, the biggest banks in America came apart in a single week. But one small bank out in Amish farm country in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, had the best year in its history. Nearly every customer it had was Amish, and the Amish had spent 200 years quietly refusing the exact things that took everyone else down. No credit cards, no borrowing against a house they already owned. When a barn burned, no adjuster came. The neighbors came and they built it back. This is not a story about people better than you. The men who lost everything in 2008 were not fools. They were sold a more convenient kind of security, one piece at a time, until the old kind was gone and they never felt it leave. The Amish just never signed. So here are 10 money habits that quietly make a bank unnecessary, and the one at the very top that the banks would rather you never heard. Subscribe, then let's go. Number 10. They buy it used or they do not buy it. There is a man I want you to keep in mind as we go. Call him Amos. He farms a stretch of Lancaster County his great-grandfather cleared, and he is in his 60s now, which means that ground has fed 4 generations of one family without ever once being mortgaged past what a single bad year could survive. Amos almost never buys new what he could get used, mended, or made by hand. None of this is poverty, and that is the part the rest of us get wrong. Amos is not going without. He is refusing a habit the rest of us picked up without ever deciding to. The habit of treating new as the default and used as a step down. Every dollar he does not spend replacing something that still works is a dollar he never has to earn back, never has to borrow, and never has to pay interest on. The frugality is not the sacrifice. The frugality is the freedom, and it scales all the way up to the thing he will never carry, which is where we are headed next. Number 9. They keep no balance they cannot clear. The Amish pay cash or they pay by check. For most of their history, the only time an Amish man borrowed at all was to buy a farm, because a farm costs more than a lifetime of saving can cover up front. Everything else he paid for when he bought it, or he did not buy it yet. No revolving balance, no minimum payment, no interest compounding against him every month, the way it does for the average household carrying a few $1,000s on cards it cannot pay off. There is a banker in Lancaster County who has said the Amish are less risky to lend to than people with every modern financial tool in their pocket. No credit score, no driver's license, often no formal history at all. And yet in 20 years, he has never lost money on one. Because to an Amish man, missing a payment is not a clerical event. It is a shame that lands on his whole family and his whole church. The debt is not between him and a machine. It is between him and people whose eyes he will meet on Sunday. We made debt frictionless and anonymous, then wondered why it ran away from us. They kept it personal, so they kept it small. Hold that, because it explains something coming about how they handle a 30-year mortgage that should not be possible. Number 8. They make the kitchen do the work the store wants to do for you. Most of what an Amish family eats, an Amish family grew, raised, or made. The garden behind the house is not a hobby. It is the grocery store. They can and they preserve, and they bake in quantities that would stock a small shop, and they cook from scratch because scratch is cheaper, and because that is simply how it has always been done. The modern food economy runs on the opposite bed. It runs on you paying someone else to do the growing, the cooking, the portioning, and the packaging, and taking a margin at every step. Convenience is the product, and the money the rest of us hand over for the box and the brand and the delivery mostly just never leaves Amos's farm. A man who will not pay someone to peel his potatoes is not about to pay someone interest to hold his own money. Which brings us to what happens when the bill is not for groceries but for something that can break a family. A hospital? Number 7. They pay the bill before it can grow. The Amish carry no health insurance. We will get to how they cover the real emergencies in a minute, because that part is remarkable on its own. But start with the everyday bills. When an Amish family owes a hospital, they pay in cash, and they pay fast. There is a man in Holmes County, Ohio, who helps run the aid fund for his church and the churches around it. He has said his providers never hold a bill more than 10 days. 10 days. And because the money is good and arrives almost immediately, and there is no insurance company to fight with for the better part of a year, he can negotiate the price down. Sit with that because it turns the whole modern arrangement on its head. We were taught that insurance is what gets you a lower price. The Amish get a lower price precisely because they have no insurance, because cash in 10 days is worth more to a hospital than a claim in 10 months. They turn the very thing we were sold as protection into the thing standing between us and a fair price, and they did it by paying their bill. But a doctor's bill is one thing. A 6-figure surgery or a barn struck by lightning is another. And no single family can cash pay through that. That is number 6, the habit the rest of this list is built on. Number 6, they carry no insurance policy at all. For an Amish family, owning an insurance policy is essentially out of the question. Not the car kind, not the life kind, not the health kind. They do not pay premiums to a company whose entire business model is collecting more from you over a lifetime than it ever pays back. To them, that is not security. That is the world getting its hooks into them. So what stands in its place? The districts, the church, the neighbors. When a bill comes that is too big for one family, the deacon goes door to door through the congregation and collects, family by family, until it is covered. In Lancaster County, there has been a church aid plan running since 1969, where families pay in monthly and draw on the fund when the large bills come. But notice what even the formal version is. It is not a company. There are no shareholders taking a cut, no profit built into the arithmetic. Every dollar that goes in comes back out to a member who needs it, minus nothing. And the family that receives knows their turn to give will come the day somebody else's roof caves in. The Amish did not find a cheaper insurance company. They made the insurance company unnecessary by being willing to be each other's insurance. And the oldest, purest expression of that, the one you have probably seen a photograph of without understanding what you were looking at, is the barn. Let me stop here because we are halfway down the list, and I do not want you to miss the pattern, since the pattern is the whole point. Look back at the 5 habits so far: buying used, refusing debt, feeding themselves, paying cash, carrying no insurance. They are not 5 things. They are one thing seen from 5 sides. Everyone removes a middleman. The Amish declining to rent something they can provide for themselves or for each other. The bank, the lender, the insurer, the brand, the convenience, each one sells you a substitute for something a community used to handle on its own for nothing. That is the manual we lost. Somewhere between our grandfathers and us, we traded the neighbor for the policy. Not because we got weaker, because the substitute was easier, and it came one signature at a time. And by the time the old way was gone, we had forgotten we ever had it. The Amish remembered. Number 5 is what remembering looks like when the barn is on fire. Number 5. When the barn burns, the neighbors come. A barn burns down. It happens from lightning, from a stray spark, from old wiring in a dry summer. For most American farmers, that is a catastrophe, a year of fighting an adjuster while the animals have nowhere to stand. For the Amish, it is a Saturday. Word goes out, And on the appointed morning, dozens of families arrive. By buggy, by hired van, some from districts a county away. Total strangers among them. The men frame and raise the structure, often the whole barn, in a single day, with hand tools and wooden pegs. The women feed an army. The children carry water. By dark, where there was a black square of ash that morning, there stands a barn. Nobody sends a bill. Nobody files a claim. The lumber comes out of the same community fund the family has paid into for years, and the labor is simply given, because every man swinging a hammer knows that one day it may be his barn, and these same hands will come for him. This is the policy. This is what they have in place of the thing the rest of us pay 30 years of premiums for. And it is worth more, because a check cannot raise a barn in a day, and a check cannot stand beside you while you watch it rise. Remember that bank in 2008, the one that had its best year while the country burned? This is why. You cannot bundle up a barn raising and sell it to Wall Street. The Amish were never in the casino because the barn was never for sale. Number 4, they lend to their own, and the interest stays home. When an Amish family does need to borrow, often the lender is not a bank at all. It is another Amish man. The ones who have done well, the business owners and the established farmers, lend to the young families starting out, holding their mortgages directly on terms a commercial bank would never write. Think about what that does to $1 of interest. Pay it to a national bank, and the money leaves your town and your state and does not come back. It goes to shareholders who will never know your name. Pay it to your neighbor and it stays in the community. It funds the next young family's farm. The interest is not extracted. It is recycled. The idea that the man you owe might be the man who teaches your son to plow sounds almost foreign now. To Amos, it is just Tuesday. And when the lender is your neighbor and the shame of owing is real, you do something with a mortgage most Americans never do. You get rid of it early. Number 3, they pay it off years early and own it free and clear. The Amish save at a rate that would startle most financial planners, and they save for one purpose above all others: to owe no one. When an Amish family buys a farm, they come to the table with a large down payment because they have been saving toward it for years and living well below their means the whole time. And once the mortgage exists, they go after it. Bankers who work with them will tell you it is common to see a 30-year mortgage paid off in 20 or less. The goal is never a good interest rate. The goal is the day the debt is gone, the day the land is theirs free and clear, with no payment owed to anyone again. Because a farm you own outright cannot be taken from you in a bad year. It is the foundation the whole family stands on, and it gets handed down already paid for. Set that beside the arrangement most of us accept without blinking. A 30-year note we refinance twice. A house we may never own outright before we sell it. A lifetime of payments treated as the cost of having a roof. The Amish looked at that and said no. Owe nothing. Own it. Pass it on. And what they pass on is bigger than the farm. That is number 2. Number 2, the money stays in the family longer than the man does. In an Amish family, the children who work outside the home bring their paychecks back to the family, and they keep doing it until they are 21. It is simply understood. The money a young man earns in his teens does not go to a car and a phone and a night out. It goes into the family, which is raising the younger children and saving toward the day this same young man will need a farm of his own. And when that day comes, the parents step in. They help stake the next farm, the next house, the next business, the same way their own parents staked them. One Amish father spoke of buying his farm for $700 an acre, then watching the price climb to several times that. and worrying he could not do for his sons what his father had done for him. The worry itself tells you everything. The duty to launch the next generation is assumed, not debated. This is wealth treated as a relay, not a race. No Amish man is trying to win the money game inside his own lifetime and spend it before he goes. He is a link in a chain. He receives a farm, works it, and hands it forward, often paid off to a son who will do the same. Most of us run the opposite play without choosing to. We pile it up alone, spend it alone, and hope something is left. They built a chain, and the chain is held together by the one habit at the very top of this list, the habit the modern system most needs you to forget. Number 1. They never bought protection. They built it. Here it is. Every habit on this list, the used wagon, the cash payment, the home garden, the early paid mortgage, the paychecks carried home, all of it rests on a single foundation. The Amish never went looking for someone to sell them protection. They built their own, out of each other, and they have refused for 200 years to trade it away. Look at what the rest of us carry: a health insurance premium, a deductible, a homeowner's policy, a life insurance policy, a car payment, a credit card, a retirement account we are quietly told to pray does not crash before we are old. Stack it all up, and what do you hold? A drawer full of paper that pays out only as long as you keep paying in, sold to you by companies that profit from the gap between your fear and your need. Now look at what the Amish man holds instead. He has the barn, not the building, the thing the barn stands for. He has 50 families who will appear in his driveway the morning after the fire, and he has spent his whole life appearing in theirs. His insurance has a face. It eats at his table. It will carry his coffin, and it cannot be canceled, cannot be priced out of reach, cannot be bundled up and sold to strangers. In 2008, that is exactly the test it passed. The reason an Amish loan could never be turned into one of those poisoned securities that sank the country is almost funny. A house with no electricity and no commercial insurance does not qualify. The very things that make an Amish life look backward are the things that made it impossible to gamble with. In 1965, the government wrote them an exemption from Social Security, and the Amish accepted it on the one condition the law demanded: that they waive every benefit and provide for their own old age themselves. They signed away the safety net the rest of us lean on, and they did it gladly because they already had a better one. They had the barn. This is the thing the modern system needs you to forget. Not a trick, a fact. Community was the original financial product, the first insurance, the first pension, the first bank. And you cannot be sold something you already have. So the habits had to go first. Once the neighbor was replaced by the policy, the barn could be sold back to you, one premium at a time, for life. I told you about Amos at the start. The farm his great-grandfather cleared that has fed 4 generations, never mortgaged past what a single bad year could survive. Amos is not rich the way we measure it. He has no portfolio, no credit score worth checking. On a spreadsheet next to the average American, he might even look behind. The spreadsheet would be wrong. Amos owes nothing. Amos fears nothing from a layoff because he was never that exposed. And if his barn burned tonight, he would not be alone tomorrow. Most of us, with all our coverage, cannot say one of those 3 things. I'm not going to tell you to go live like the Amish. That manual was written for a different life than the one you are standing in. But you can take one habit off this list. Just one. Pay one thing off this month and feel what it is to owe that much less. Pay one bill in cash and ask for the discount, the way Amos would. Or do the hard one, the one that matters most. Do something for a neighbor this week. Something real. with nothing expected back and start building the only kind of insurance that ever truly pays out. The kind with a face. Because the banks would rather you forgot it was ever an option. They would rather you reached for the policy. The Amish just never forgot, and the barn is still standing. If a video on this channel ever changes how you carry your week, tell me in the comments because the next man needs to know it worked. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.